one second, Carolyn. It's Ribeiro. Yes, I want to make sure I say it properly.
Ribeiro.
Ribeiro.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not very good. Ribeiro.
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 Okay.
Yes.
Ribeiro.
Caroline
Yeah,
Ribeiro.
Ribeiro. Okay.
We are live.
Okay, perfect. And we are.
I'm meeting everybody.
And oh, you're recording as well. Wonderful. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm just going to welcome you. Thank you for being with us this evening on the second evening of Power Skills, day 2 of 4. We hope that if you've been in other sessions, you have enjoyed them. We will ask for your feedback after. So thank you for being here. I know it's the evening, and if you've been in other sessions and if you've worked, I know you've had a long day, but I know that this is going to be worth your time. I'm so sure of it, as I'm happy to know the speaker. And I think reinvention is something that is a topic we've been talking about with the pandemic. My name is Rosalia Felice, and I'm the manager at Career Advising and Transition Services at McGill School of Continuing Studies. And I have my wonderful colleague with me, Diana Viola.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
So we are your hosts. And before we continue, we're just going to play a video that Diana is going to play, and I'll see it's only about a minute long, and we'll be right back. Thank you, Deanna. So as a team at Career Advising and Transition Services, and also the School of Continuing Studies, we decided to play a land acknowledgement video before every session. And the reason we do that is because it was inspired by the 94 recommendation calls to action contained in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada, now known as the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation. Land acknowledgements are a necessary first step. And remember, this is only a first step toward honoring the original occupants of, well, really all of North America. So if you're in North America and certainly other parts of the world, they also help Canadians realize, recognize and respect Indigenous peoples' inherent kinship beliefs when it comes to the land, especially since those beliefs were restricted for way too long. And above and beyond all that, since we'll be having conversations and dialogue and connecting together, this was in fact the original land where Indigenous people did that for years. So thank you, Deanna, for playing that video. And now it is my absolute and immense pleasure to introduce Carolyn Ribeiro. I know I don't have that wonderful Spanish spin to it, so she'll say her name. My R's don't roll like that, which is very unfortunate. And Carolyn will talk a lot about herself. She's actually going to share her personal story, which is fantastic. I know Carolyn, although I haven't seen her in 10 years, which is remarkable to me because I told her she hasn't aged but an iota and looks phenomenal as usual. But I had the pleasure of meeting Carolyn at Toastmasters. So for those of you who may not know, Toastmasters is a public speaking organization. People might think I own shares in this. Well, they don't have shares, but I'm so in awe of this organization, and that is where I met Carolyn and where I met a lot of other wonderful people. So if public speaking or leadership is something you're interested in, I highly recommend it. All this to say, Carolyn is somebody you don't forget when you meet her. And I know you know that I haven't forgotten her. And I'm so absolutely pleased that she's part of this Power Skills. And no doubt you'll all want her back for the next Power Skills. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. Deanna and I will field your questions at the end. So Carolyn will start with her presentation. However, she's generous in saying that if you need any points of clarification while she's speaking, either you want an example of something that she talked about, or you're not quite sure about something, please feel free to write it in the chat, and Deanna and I will take care of it. In terms of questions, please save those for the end, and Carolyn has saved time in her presentation for your questions. So without further ado, please everyone, in any way you see fit, warmly welcome Carolyn.
Thank you, Rosalia. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, can you see my screen? I hope yes.
I only see you, Carolyn. And I don't mean only to that. It's a wonderful, but we saw it before, but I don't see it anymore.
Yes.
Deanna's host, can you make sure that Carolyn is co-host? Yes. We practiced this right before. You know, technology is a very... You are? Okay, so Carolyn, take your time and try again.
Oh, so it's me? Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. In the meantime, everyone in the chat, and some of you I see have started doing that, please feel free to tell us where you're from. Carolyn, so you know, we have people from all over the world. So far, I've seen people from Jamaica, Barbados, Argentina, Costa Rica, of cities in the United States and Canada, South Africa, Chile, Cyprus, Mexico,
wow,
and Singapore and Colombia. And I'm sure there was many more. Now we see it. Thank you, Caroline. And please go ahead. Thank you.
Perfect. Merci tout le monde d'être ici. Je suis très contente, très heureuse de vous avoir ici. E eu estou extremamente feliz de tê-los comigo essa noite. Então, empezamos todos. Okay, now you know that I speak more than 4 languages and I am beyond. I am excited to be here, so let's get started. I am Caroline Ribeiro. I will be sharing with you my personal stories and hopefully helping you leverage a few tools that I leverage to reinvent myself. So let's get started. Our agenda. What has shaped me, the experiences that made me what I am today. I will share my top secret, my 3 main pillars. And of course, we want to leave a session with some rock and roll. So an exercise for us to bring home. So please get your pen, get your pencil, get us some notebooks because you will be taking notes, ladies and gentlemen. So what has shaped me? I feel I've lived many lives in one life. I know that the skin doesn't show, but I've been working for the last 20 years. Yes, you probably think I've been working that I am 15, but I've been working for the last 20 years. And my career can be divided in 2 main parts. The first 10 years, I was in Brazil, and the last 10 years, I was here in Canada. I was a SAP team lead and consultant in Brazil, working for one of the largest companies in the country. SAP, for those who don't know, it's a system or a set of systems that will make your company work. So the big organizations that you know, the big logos you know, all have SAP. I was implementing, going through go lives, which can be very rewarding, but also extremely stressful. So one day, I was one of the youngest members in the team. I decided it was enough. So I took a backpack trip to Europe to relax. And that trip opened my eyes. And then I realized that the world was bigger than my country, Brazil. When I got back, you don't know. I learned about the immigration process to Canada. I learned French. I decided to move to France, and I did. And I took 3 years to prepare, and finally I landed in Canada in 2008. I don't know if it rings a bell, but in 2008, it was the year of a very light financial crisis around the globe. So that was a girl moving to a new country. So I landed in Canada, Montreal, without a job, without friends, without a network, without a place to live, but that was me. Because I have the SAP knowledge, because I have my experience was transferable, I could land a job in approximately 6 months. And it was very similar to the job I had in Brazil. The only challenge, very small challenge, is that at that time I was leading a group, a multicultural group with people based out of US, Canada, and Europe. Extremely rewarding. I learned a lot. After those many years, I also decided it was time to learn something new. So my career had been focused very much on IT, on a very technical side. So I decided to take an MBA at John Molson in Montreal. That's where I also met this handsome man you see in this picture, my husband, outstanding, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, just that meeting could be another workshop, so let's save it for another session. Following my MBA, I was kindly invited by KPMG. They offered me a position. They moved me to the West Coast, Calgary. Life was good. This man helped me pack 7 bags and traveled with me to Calgary. After 7 months, KPMG offered me to move back to the East Coast. They were building a workday practice. Let me know, I know that these are very technical, but we were building a new practice. So I was very happy to help design a new practice in Canada, in the management consulting space. I'm very proud to say that I was hiring people, and one of my hires has become a partner at KPMG. Fancy. Throughout my career, I was surrounded by good mentors. And one of my mentors once said, Caroline, your career looks very solid on boring IT, on management consulting. You need some sales skills. And that's when I thought, maybe the person is not so wrong. So I learned about a few sales companies. I got excited about a few organizations, and I landed a job at Salesforce. So I was changing industry. By that time, I had more than 15 years of work experience, but I decided to take a few steps back, and I moved as a sales beginner, rookie, going through all the challenges that we have to go. Went through a lot of sweat and tears, and finally made my way to a peak performer. So those who are in sales understand the club, all those terms that we use in sales. And recently I've been promoted at Salesforce, and I have also been promoted in life. I have a wonderful, amazing baby who just turned 18 months this week, Isabella, the love of my life. So ladies and gentlemen, this is my story that I tried to put in hopefully in a not so heavy package. I wanted to highlight a few changes for you. First, I moved to a new country, so a reinvention. Then I moved to a new industry, from very technical IT implementation to management consulting. Another industry. Then from management consulting to another industry, sales. And then in that sales space, I got a new job. So I was a salesperson, now I am a sales leader. So another reinvention. And I've been leveraging a package, or I have been leveraging a set of tools that I wanted to share with you today. Oh, just some publi about myself. Yes, over 20 years of leadership and work experience. Wow. So let's move to the 3 main pillars that have been guiding me throughout my journey. First, it's having clarity. One thing that it's important, and I see many people telling me, oh, I don't know what I want. I don't know what is the new job I want. I don't know what is the new man I want. I don't know what is the new partner that I want. It doesn't matter what you were looking for. Of course, let me change here. Yes, of course it matters, but you need to have a direction. So in my case, I knew it was sales. What in sales? I had no idea, but the clarity on the direction helped me to start moving. Then another thing that it's extremely important. Oh, we have more pillars, but I wanted to stop here and share an exercise with you to gain some clarity. When you think about your new life, so let's make an exercise. Your new life starts today. For example, for myself, I wanted to move to sales. So think about a few questions for you. And guys, ladies and gentlemen, we will share those questions later. So just to walk you through, what do I want from my new life? What needs to happen in my new phase? What are the steps that I need to take? Remember, we take ownership. Who can help me here? With whom do I need to connect? What is the knowledge that I need to acquire? So when you are still in that phase that you are defining your direction, to gain more clarity, try to answer these questions for yourself. Let me move on the pillars. After you have clarity, you have goals, and goals will mean also mini goals, and it means tasks that you are taking on a monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis, and if you're as obsessive as I am, even on an hourly basis. So define goals based on your direction. Make a plan, study, move. I can't emphasize the move. For myself, I knew sales. Then I put Salesforce and a few other companies. Then I started looking, what are the kinds of jobs that they have? Is my portfolio, is my CV resume aligned to what they're looking for? And then the third pillar, as I was mentioning, it is action. And I put a Portuguese, I speak for language, I put mexa your bunda. And forgive me if I use a term that may make you just a little bit uncomfortable. Move your damn ass. That's what I mean by action. So if you want something new in your life, if you want to reinvent yourself, move. I hear a lot of excuses about, oh, I don't know what I want, so gain some clarity, define some goals. Oh, I don't know, or some people who have a very good packaged answer. I know where I am going, I have my goals, but they are just sitting on their couch and waiting for a few angels to come and make a change in their lives. Let me break to you, it's not happening. You need to move your bunda, your ass on a daily basis. So a few examples that I can bring from my life. When I was moving to a new job or looking for a new job within Salesforce, I found people on LinkedIn that I wanted, that would have connections. People didn't have connections. People didn't want to introduce me to people at Salesforce. Excuse me, I am persistent and I am annoying. So you are going to have to find a way. You will have to find a way for myself because I want that job. So that's what I did. I was on people's bunda, or I was very persistent on a daily basis until I got an introduction and until I got to talk with somebody who eventually introduced me to somebody who could hire me. I interviewed, I failed on my first interview. Yes, it happens to everybody. And I came back, asked for a second interview, prepared better, and got my job. So this is just to give you an idea of things that we go through, that we have to do, or things that were in my story. Now, I wanted to share with you some strategies for action, because I know it all sounds very beautiful, it sounds very nice, but what does it really mean? So let me walk you through a few things that keep guiding me as I keep moving. The concept of portfolio of careers. Last year, when I was on my mat leave, I was introduced to this concept, which means that we are not defined by one career. You are an engineer, or you are a doctor, or you are a sales rep. It doesn't matter. Today you are a doctor. Tomorrow you might be a skincare glow specialist. I'm giving examples, ladies and gentlemen. I was a SAP consultant. Then I was a management. I was a consultant. Then I was a sales rep. All these experiences combined will comprise your portfolio of careers that will make you very sexy for your next opportunity. If you know yourself well, to market yourself to your next opportunity. So look at all your experiences, look at all your life, and what are the experiences that comprise your portfolio of careers. Another point that it's crucial that we tend to not pay a lot of attention. Your network is your net wealth. What does it mean? Your LinkedIn profile, it's powerful. Sometimes we have some people there who are not so wonderful, it's okay. But if you look, if you know some people who are crucial that you want to connect, follow those people, comment on their profiles, be very close to those people. Find more people who inspire you and be close to them or follow them. One thing that it is crucial to, it's build your tribe. And that I am literal. I have a problem accepting people, and maybe it's me that I need to evolve in life. I have a problem accepting people who tell me, oh, I don't know enough people. Nobody knows enough people. I don't know my superstars, but you need to identify the mentors that you would love to have in your network. Ask them to be close to you, or sometimes you do not even need to ask people. Just by raising your hand, asking a question, that person helped you in that situation, and they will help you in another situation. And let me tell you another secret. If you ask for help for somebody, and that person who is super ahead of you in their careers, and they refuse to help, to take 10 minutes out of their time to talk and to help you, I am sorry, you don't want them around you. They are just not enough. They are just not good enough, because if people don't know the value of giving back, terrible. So build your tribe of mentors and coach. Surround yourself by the people who inspire you. Then, of course, we are in pandemic times, but we are all about virtual today. So coffees, and coffees. And what do I mean? Informal meetings. Ask those mentors, ask those coaches, can I take 10 minutes of your time, dress, put some makeup, and have a meeting, have a virtual meeting. Introduce yourself, ask the question that you have. You're not desperate asking for pay somebody to put money in your bank account. Maybe you are, but fake till you make it. So a virtual coffee.
Carolyn, so sorry to interrupt. Just there was a question in the chat on if number 6, because there's the starting of a parentheses, if there was meant to be something there, just making sure. And I love that everybody's paying attention and notice that. I think they don't want to miss anything that you might.
Yeah, that was for me. Sorry, ladies and gents, it was me. A little mistake on your testimonial. Oh, I'll get it there. So it was my mistake, and I'll get it there. For number 5, have a story that makes sense for your opportunity. When I went through lots of interviews in the last 6 months, if I tell my new audience, if I tell my new gang, hey, I was IT consultant, I went through lots of go lives, it was very stressful. My potential new gang, they are not interested. I am not speaking their language. So make your stories resonate with the new group that you want to connect with. Remember, you have a portfolio of experiences, you have a portfolio of careers. Find there the experiences that will make sense to your new experience, to your new job, to your new opportunity that you're looking for. Testimonials. I wanted to make this point because today we are all buying on Amazon, we are buying online. I don't buy if I don't read at least 5 good testimonials about the product that I am looking to purchase. So tell me, if you want to talk with somebody, that somebody will try to do some homework, what do people talk about you? So do you know? Make sure that at each interaction you have with a coworker, with a customer, with a manager, with whomever, hey, Mr., Madam, XYZ, would you mind going to LinkedIn and writing this text about me? And if it's a lot of work, you don't want to give work to people, so you can even write down what you wanted that person to write about you and say, hey, here's a text, here it's free for you, make sure you can make the changes you want. Don't give people homework, so write down what you'd like them to say about you. This technique saves lives. Another thing if you are in an interview for a job, if you're in an interview process, self-confidence is the best dress. Make sure you know what you have achieved. You know what you have achieved. You know you are capable of your next step. So all those voices that come to your mind, thank them and own the glorious human being you are and go for it. Another point that I wanted to share is know your worth. Especially for us, for women, we tend to say, oh, I don't know, or people don't know, don't make enough research. Find people in the positions that you are looking for, learn how much they are making, and you don't need to pick up the phone and say, hey, what is your salary? People are not open. Some people are not open. You can ask a question. Would you mind please sharing an average of your pay? What is the range? With that conversation with a few different people, you will know your range, and that on top of all your research. If I am this talk track, it's more for if you're looking for a job, if you're going through a job process, you will land a few offers, and those offers may be amazing and you will be beyond excited. Even then, negotiate. Recruiters are expecting you to negotiate. So just by the fact of you not negotiating, it will send them a sign. So negotiate. Even if the paycheck is beyond outstanding, you look for something else. Maybe you want something else, more vacation, more shares in the organization. You want something else. Find that something else and negotiate and ask for it. And one point that I will share with you in the next slide, for every activity that you perform, ask yourself, is this world class? Is the task I just performed outstanding? And let me share with you the why. You are the CEO of your career. You are the CEO of your professional path. When you are the CEO of your professional path, you are building your brand, you are building your reputation. So it's your obligation to make sure that it's top, that it's excellent, and you are building your brand as you go. So have this question in mind for each thing that you perform. Ask yourself, is this world class? So here are a few strategies that I leverage when I am in action, and I try to bring to this to our situation here that we are talking about people, career, transitioning careers, looking for new opportunities. Let me know if you have some questions. I am close to end my talk, and then I will open for all the questions.
Sure, oh, I'm sorry, Carolyn. So you want me to wait until you're what do you prefer?
Oh, if there are any questions here, let's go.
Sure, because they're actually on this, and I love this question. So we got a question from Adele. She says that, do you have any advice for introverts? Because a lot of these things on your strategies here, she said, could be very frightening, right, for introverts. So do you have any advice to make it a little less frightening, or other tips?
Adele, I am an introvert too. It may not look like, but this is with time. And I think for introverts, it's the whole process comes from knowing your value. When you sit with yourself, you know that how wonderful you are. And I use a verb every day. I look at myself in the mirror and I say, I am glorious. So Adele, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am glorious. You are. With that, you are building your self-esteem. And I would say, for introverts, for people who are all out of there, asking doesn't hurt. And I come back to my previous point. If you are asking for help of somebody, and if that somebody doesn't give you 5 minutes of their time, there is something wrong, not with you, but with the person who is saying no. So find the next other person, make a list, don't put yourself, I want to talk with just 3 people. No, make a list of 100 people. If you get a 1 yes or a 2 yes or a 3 yes, that's what you need, and you keep moving on. It's a game of persistence. It's a game of being very sure of what you are looking for, and nothing will stop you until you get what you want. I will move to the next slide. I wanted to share with you some inspiration, and I brought some women because I am passionate about women. So gentlemen, I hope you are inspired. You leave this conversation inspired by these women. I don't know if you are familiar with Anne Muraco. I learned about her last year while doing my walks and listening to a few podcasts. She is, and I brought her bio with me, she is the most powerful woman in the startups. She grew up in San Francisco. She has been in this space for her whole life. What really caught my attention with her, she couldn't speak English. In her house, they always speak Japanese, and she couldn't speak. She was an introvert. Adele, she couldn't connect with other people. She practiced so much, she became the champion of debates in the United States. And today, after a long journey, she has become the most powerful woman in the startup world, San Francisco. So it's a huge achievement. There is another lady, and Shelley Archambault. I don't know if you're familiar with her. I learned about Shelley last Christmas when you remember that blonde, handsome man that I showed in the beginning of the presentation? He gave me Shelley's book for Christmas. I fell in love with her, and I highly suggest you to find the book if you can. It's unapologetically ambitious. So what does Shelley do? She said this woman was pure fire. She set a clear strategy on what she wanted to achieve at the age of 19. She made plans and she took risks. She took intelligent risks. I love Shelley. She's on LinkedIn on a weekly basis. She answers questions. She has forums for people to connect. So please, follow her. She's amazing. One of the things that she has achieved, she has become one of the Silicon Valley first female African CEOs. And she was a woman, a Black woman, poor in her childhood. It's extremely inspirational and a lesson about grit and perseverance. So I highly recommend you to learn more about Shelley Archambault. You won't regret. And of course, I wanted to talk about Oprah. Oprah needs no introduction, but for those who are not familiar with her story, she was born into poverty to a single teenager mother. She was abused in her childhood. She had a child, and so the first phase of her life wasn't easy at all. What is fantastic about Oprah is that she took her challenges and she transformed into fuel for her to become what she is today. She landed a job in the radio, and the woman transformed the industry. Today, she's a retired queen of all media. She was the richest African American in the last century, and she was the first Black multi-billionaire in US, and she has become a very, very powerful philanthropist. So that's Oprah. I wanted to share some inspiration with you because sometimes we participate, we attend calls, we read books, and we think, oh, that was Oprah, that was Shelley, that was Anne. But all these people, they started from very difficult situations, and they made their way up. And I attribute their success, their perseverance, to their grit and their action. So, as we are coming close to a conclusion, I wanted to emphasize power is in the action. Move. Oh, em português, mexa sua bunda. In English, move your ass. And with that, to conclude, I will open to questions, and I wanted to leave if you can take 3 main points for this conversation, have clarity. You don't need to know today what you want, what is the job, what is the new thing, what is the new transformation that you are creating, but have a direction, and then put yourself get into that subject, connect yourself, define goals, be obsessive, define daily, if not hourly goals, and move I think by now you know, and go in action, keep in action. So I will now open for questions, and I'm happy to answer whatever questions you have, even if it's about my handsome blonde husband. I can share all the strategies used for that process.
For that, Carolyn, but I think we'll take other questions. But thank you for that offer. So actually, Antonella and everyone, I know you've been offering, by the way, Carolyn, people have been offering when somebody has a question, have been offering their insights. So also everyone, feel free to put up your hand if you have a question, comment, and we can make this a conversation. So please feel free to do that. So Tennille asks, what are your suggestions for negotiation of salary in nonprofits, who often don't have the means to provide more, and many have strict HR policies around vacation, healthcare, etc.?
That's a very good question, and I think what I will share it's in a very limited, because I haven't been exposed, so I wanted it to be transparent. My negotiations have been all on the for-profit side, but what I would tell you is that do your research, that it's powerful, because when you know the range that you are, that's the right range for the position you are looking for, you are equipped with data, and nobody can fight data. When it's data, when it's everywhere, you can share that. And one strategy that I've learned is always leverage what you have. So when in negotiation, I am in sales, you never make the first move when you say, hey, I want X. You ask the person, and the recruiters tend to say, hey, how much do you want to make? So my counter argument, or my answer is, taking into consideration my 20 years of work experience, the fact I speak 4 languages, and I can work with all this universe of customers, whatever your situation is, and I've been in the industry A, B, C, and D, what does your company generally offer to these professionals? So you make them talk, you put them on the spot, and you start the dance. And perhaps, of course, my experience is on the for-profit space. Perhaps they won't get you the salary that you want. And then one question that I invite you to answer for yourself: what are you looking for? Is this job something that will make you move? Are you building a stronger portfolio of career that will make your portfolio stronger? So in 2 years, 3 years, you're leveraging this experience to get something better, so you can suck it up. Or I do need a paycheck of X. If that is the case, maybe it's time to move on for a next opportunity. If it is something that will make your portfolio very strong, perhaps, and I will be very humble here and say, from a friend perspective, perhaps you want to suck it up because you have a long-term vision for what you want to build.
I love your answer, Carolyn, and it's aligned with Chantal in the chat. Said she has 2 suggestions. You said the first one, don't anchor, let them make the first offer. And I love them. That makes so much sense. Number 2, and this you also alluded to, so consider trading your salary for something of importance to you. And that's also what you said, Carolyn. Is this a stepping stone? Is there a reason I want this job? And I'd like to add something too, that sometimes they can't make, and they would like to make you an offer that's more, but they can't. And so you can't bleed a rock also. So it's not to take that personally, but I love where you two, Carolyn and Chantal and Chet, where you went with the direction of, yeah, if you're going to take it and you have the financial means to do that, of course, and you see it as a long-term, goal or stepping stone, wonderful. So that's great. But yeah, definitely don't give, that's a tough question we get is, what are your salary expectations? So tough, right? We never want to answer that first. And I love that you said that, Carolyn. Wonderful. And we have other questions here. So I love Carolyn asks, Carolyn, how do you sell yourself if you have ADD and other invisible learning disabilities?
Interesting. I've heard two different stories, and ladies and gentlemen, I will be very transparent. I've heard from a recruiter saying, never bring me your problems. So people don't want to hear, or companies don't want to hear about these problems. On the other side, and I think everybody's evolving, companies are evolving. There are companies that are embracing people with all sorts of, I would say, challenges. And then these are the companies that you want to work for. I am with a Salesforce today, and I can tell you that they are, not that they are looking for, but they will embrace people with their challenges. They are looking for people who can perform at their tasks. If they bring A, if they bring B, if they bring C, it's part of yourself, of your portfolio. So they are happy to welcome you with that. And I'm not here making an advertisement about a Salesforce. I am just sharing a true experience. It's what I've seen in real life. So there are companies out there that are dying to have your talent. These are the companies that you could be looking for.
Thank you, Carolyn, for your transparency and for talking about your company and also saying that, yeah, exactly. And, one thing I could add to that is focus on your strengths, not that the other things that you mentioned are weaknesses, but you are more than a person with X, as you know.
Yes.
You are everything else. And so when you sell yourself on those, and at the same time be transparent about these, but this is not the totality of you, right? And if anybody has any other comments to that, thank you for asking that question, Carolyn, and thank you for answering, Carolyn. It's lovely when we have a conversation in the chat as well, so that's just terrific. Carolyn, I'll go to the next question for you. What do you do when you have so many goals that you're almost paralyzed? And I'm sure you are not the only person with this question, that you're almost paralyzed by everything you have to do and achieve. How do you prioritize which goal takes precedence? I absolutely love this question. And if you've had this experience, anyone, please go ahead and say yes in the chat, because I've certainly gone through this, and I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with.
Guys, I have to tell you that I suffer with 1 gazillion goals. My wall here has probably 20 goals that my husband and I we must achieve in 21. So now it's August, and what is the percentage we have achieved? Maybe 20%. So I am a goal monster. And so I feel your pain. One thing I am being coached on this point. So my suggestion, and I am saying suggestion because I am in the same situation, and something that I've been hearing a lot, focus on the main goal for now, prioritize. So you can bring your full self, rock and roll that goal, keep things moving. When it's in a very, let's say 80%, 85%, you are very comfortable with the achievement of that goal. Now it's time to bring priority to. That's what I've been coached on, and I can tell you that I'm still trying, so I can update you if it has been successful or not. But yes, when we have so many goals, it is beyond difficult, because I can share a few with you. I want to be a rock star people leader. I need to be an outstanding partner. First thing, I have to be a marvelous mom. This is just on the personal side. Plus, I wanted to go back to the gym, and I wanted to run a marathon, and I wanted to run, to be an Ironman or Iron Woman. So when you start putting all those things, it becomes impossible. So prioritize. My priority for now is my new job opportunity, I am a rock star for the next year. That's my priority. So that's what I can suggest, but I feel your pain.
I love that, Carolina. And, we asked people to say yes, and there were a bunch of yeses to that question. So that is tough. And there's a question that kind of leads to that, saying that it was, let me see who it is. So I think it was Carolyn. And if it's, let me go back. I'll get the name forward. I apologize for that. Oh, Shelley, actually, yes. She says she knows what she wants and she knows what her goals are, but the past year and a half, of course, with COVID have been exhausting. Can you suggest any mini actions she can do while recovering from pandemic exhaustion? And this is obviously something else that a lot of people feel is this pandemic exhaustion. What a wonderful question. Thank you.
So what did you do when you were she has so many goals and she wants to recover from the exhaustion of last year? Yeah, sister, I feel your pain. I think that to recover, you need to connect with yourself. And we hear this a lot. It's a lot of cliche, but when we are so ambitious, when we have so many things, we don't pay attention to our most important asset, which is ourselves. So be patient with yourself. Create rituals that will help you heal yourself. So for me, and I can share, I have to walk, because in my walk, I am doing my therapy with myself. So I take every day 30 minutes for my walk. I had my baby who was crying here. I said, husband, take care of this child. I am going for my walk. So be real, be very, very, I would say, be focused on the things that heal you, and don't, I heard this from another mom, don't lose yourself throughout the process. So create a ritual. For me, it's my 30 minutes walk on a daily basis. Maybe for you is to have a cup of tea for 5 minutes sitting at your backyard, and create those rituals that will help you heal yourself and bring yourself to yourself, to become what you are, what you want to be, and keep moving. Be patient. We tend to be very aggressive with everything, and we forget about our most important asset, ourselves. So be patient, create rituals, and keep going. Things will get fine. Things will be fine.
Thank you, Carolyn. Wonderful answer. And Greg is going back to your original pillars, and he asks, was there a time when you had difficulty finding clarity?
Oh, yes, because I knew that it was time for a change, and I didn't know what, okay, something, those days or those times that you're just feeling something is not right in all your puzzle thing, you get up and things are not right. That's when, that's the power of being a tribe, of having a tribe, of having mentors, people who are around you, who know you enough, or coaches who you ask you questions and who you make you think, people who have the opportunity to make a suggestion. Hey, maybe your career needs some sales spice, or maybe it's time for you to, I don't know, do something, you need to change. So surround yourself by your tribe, be vulnerable, share that things are not well, and people will make comments. And then you have your daily ritual, your cup of tea, your walk, which is your therapy, or your dance in the shower, or dancing or naked in your bedroom, whatever it is. And the answer, the clarity, the direction will come to you.
Thank you, Carolyn. I'm just seeing if there are any other questions, because there's so much conversation. Thanks all of you for, when somebody posts a question, we have so many people participating, and thank you for that engagement. It's so part of what Power Skills is all about. And Greg says, thank you, Carolyn. Before I go into that, I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions in the chat. Please go ahead and put up your hand if you have a question. Put up your virtual hand, of course. If you have a question, or if I missed anything or any points, we still have a few minutes, so please go ahead and do that. Now is your chance. what's going on in the chat, Carolyn, is people are talking about the issues of a diversity and accommodations when it comes to people with disabilities, invisible or otherwise. And the good advice from Chantal that, sometimes corporate employers, their slogans about accommodation do not always translate, in the real world. So fortunately. So Carolyn, I have a question go ahead, Carolyn, please go ahead.
And to that point, because everybody or all the companies today, they must say that they accommodate all people. So it's that I would say that if I have friends who have challenges, who have children with challenges, and I would say that's when you are leveraging your tribe, your network, to say, hey, I am planning to work with company ABC. Do you know somebody there? Is that real? That kumbaya that they are selling, is that real? Because there's nothing more powerful than hearing about a company from people who work there, people who can be transparent. That's when you want to leverage your 5 minutes talk and say, hey, I am John Smith. I am interested in your organization. Could you walk me through some situations where people have this or people have that? Is that real? So do something that I've learned and I learned last year. I was, again, very ambitious goals. I wanted to move countries. Once again, my husband also almost wanted to kill me. But before moving to another continent, I found people who were leaving the country that I wanted to move. And then my questions were, is this real? What do they talk about your country? Is it really happening? Walk me through a day. How is the public transportation? So before making that move, you want to be prepared with as much as information you can. So it's not a surprise when you start a process with the company. You don't want to waste their time, and more importantly, you don't want to waste your time going after somebody or after a company that doesn't meet your needs. It's not a good match.
I love that, Carolyn. And we, at the School of Continuing Studies in our work, we give that advice all the time. Yeah, you can read a company's vision and mission, and it's not to say that they're being intentionally that they're intentionally misaligned with that, but that's not the point. It's one thing to have a vision and a mission, but asking people who work there's the best thing. And if you don't know anybody who works at the company, go on LinkedIn. We tell people to do this, and people have done this with me, and I'm more than happy to comply and speak to them. And just email somebody who works and say, I was thinking of applying here. I have applied here. Do you have 5 minutes? Now make sure you don't ask them for a job. This is not what you want to do on a cold call, but you want to ask them these things. And people are very accepting and open of that, as Carolyn has said, right? And I know that this is something that goes on all the time. So we have a hand up, and then we have a question from Jonathan. So I'm going to go with the hand up first, and it's from Sandra. Sandra, go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to echo what you said. Yes, check in with LinkedIn, check in with people at the company. But from an HR standpoint, don't bring it up at the beginning. Let them fall in love with you, right? Push your skills. You're applying for that job, so you must be very good at what you do there. Push there. After the offer, if you need an accommodation like a special chair or you need a hearing device, you ask for it after the offer. Big companies will have a department that just takes care of accommodation. And if it's a small company, I bet you somebody in accounting can apply for a grant that'll help them support. So let them fall in love with you first, push your skills, the rest will follow.
100%.
Absolutely, Sandra, thank you. And that's the first right of any interview or anything, is want them to fall in love with you. Once they're in love with you, and we know this from other areas of our life, then you can ask for anything. But seriously, that is such wonderful advice, because it's not about those other things. It's make them fall in love with you as a person. And then the rest, everybody, in another way, I just want to bring this up. Everybody has, nobody's a perfect package. And so when they fall in love with you, they take all of you. And I love that as an advice. So Jonathan says, what was the biggest challenge you had to overcome during your reinventions, Carolyn? Great question.
Wow, yes. My biggest challenge. I think my biggest challenge was to manage myself during the reinventions. So these ambitions, all these fire, all these things it's something that I have to manage. I have to talk with myself and say, calm down, lady. Things will happen. Just keep moving your bunda on an organized way. So I think my biggest challenge is managing myself. And if I had that's an internal challenge that it's every time that I need, that I feel that there is a new reinvention, I get that anxiety. So I go through a process, an internal process. From an external perspective, I think that moving to new jobs in Canada, where this process was even more challenging than moving to a new country, which might sound weird, but I was so sure about moving to Canada, about packing my bags and coming to a new country, financial crisis, no problem, life is good. But will I have a job? I don't know, but life is good. But interesting enough, now that I have more people who depend, I have a child, I have more things. Now these reinventions have been more challenging in the preparation side. So I think there is the internal side, which is the anxiety that I have, and that's something to be worked on. And on the external side, it's the preparation to be a rock star when I am introduced or in front of my opportunity.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. And I can't believe it is 7:59 and the hour has gone so quickly. Thank you for sharing your story, and from that, having a wonderful conversation about that. You know, one thing I can say that hearing you makes the idea for me of great transformation to the extreme of reinvention sound exciting and not scary. And I think that the attitude you put towards that is exactly, it's infectious, right? I hope those of you who are here today have that same feeling. Anna says, and I don't know how to pronounce the first word, but obrigada, I know, says thank you in Portuguese. I think it was thank you very much. Lots of thank yous in the chat. Carolyn, you're so, you're so inspirational, and thank you for being open and just such a wonderfully engaging speaker. And I thank you for being part of Power Skills. I hope that you will come back for another session of Power Skills, because I'm sure people in the audience want to hear more. And everyone is saying thank you. And Shelley says, definitely infectious, like an adventure. Yes, your talk was like an adventure, which makes me want to go on an adventure. So this is a lovely topic, especially as we, especially during this time when we need to focus on positive things, and why not reinvent ourselves during this time? And this is something that has come up in many of our sessions at Power Skills. So thank you again, Carolyn. We were live on Facebook, and so because I've had a few people ask me directly, yes, this recording will be available to all of you who are registered in any of our Power Skills sessions. We will send you a link to our YouTube where all of the videos will also be there for you to watch. Thank you again, Carolyn. It was wonderful to connect again, and I'll do that to you as well. And we hope to see you at the next Power Skills, like I said.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Merci enormément. Obrigada. Gracias. I loved my time here. And please feel free to find me on LinkedIn. I have those 5 minutes for you. And if other people don't have, boo to them, I do. Call me, virtual coffees. I'm here for you. Thank you tremendously, and keep reinventing yourselves. That's the beauty and the energy of life. Mwah!
I love your energy, and I can tell you that from knowing Carolyn, this is 100% authentic, and she brings this all the time. And you certainly want me to bring that. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone again, and have a good evening, everyone.
Mwah!